Hello, viewers. I'm SB,
And I'm Amabel.
and welcome back to Amabel Goes to Forex School. This time, hopefully, probably the last episode of Tomarkon the Magalords campaign for us. I was just looking at. I want to say before we get into the battle, I was just looking at
Yeah.
the other chieftains, because we talked about how we're very close to pulling another chieftain. And also looking at these panels just for like, are there other things I want to spend dominance on before we go into the final? Another unit of Rot Knights, perhaps. But I was looking at these chieftain powers. The chieftain powers that we have access to right now are not really relevant to battle. You know, like enabling replenishment in enemy territory or whatever. But some of these are really, really pretty bananas. The stalking stance, I believe, is the Skaven movement stance that gives them a chance to ambush on attack.
Oh wow.
This guy has when you get him up to devoted, he has an ability that just completely refills your movement range bar at the cost of 1 dominance. Like these, I think this campaign is really
Cargan, more like cargo.
okay. This campaign is really well designed. Like the chieftains offer really big, powerful bonuses, and they very much like bend the direction of your focus because you want to earn these things. So you want to be fighting the correct enemies. This is cool. I think this is a really, really good one, and I am glad to have been able to explore it with you, even if you do keep saying things like Cargan, more like cargo. Anyway, do we want to pull in a unit of Rot Knights? We drop the Forsaken. Using the Forsaken to flank is fine, but Rot Knights are they're much, much better at that job. I think let's do it. I think let's spend... Okay. I probably wouldn't do this if we were going on in this campaign. I'd be saving this for another chieftain. But as things stand here, let's optimize toward the end we're actually reaching.
I am Lord of Hosts and demand more.
And step outside and... let's do the thing. Okay, so objective: win the following battle. The battle against Fat Sod the Devourer. Fat Sod, great unclean one, lord of stench and bile, the burping enormity, and most rotund of the host, has been recently blessed by Nurgle with enormous proportions. Okay, so we gotta fight this other Nurgle force. Fat Sod, who is a wizard, in addition to being a great unclean one, and some not that impressive stuff. Seems like a real easy battle. Something tells me it's going to be more complicated than that. Yeah, reinforcements expected. And sadly, the same is not true for us. It's possible this is going to turn out to be like a real anticlimax, though, I guess. Fat Sod, a great unclean one, blessed with gargantuan proportions and even greater appetites, has taken to devouring the faithful from among Nurgle's warbands to sate his own endless hunger. The chieftains cannot afford to lose so many troops at such an alarming rate. Taking decisive action, Tomarkon turns his armies against the unclean monstrosity. It is time to put an end to this glorious unholy feast, if only for the sake of Nurgle and his armies. Okay, so to start with, not a lot of very impressive troops on the ground here. They have the Forsaken, who can be troublesome if they get, in on a flank. And I'm assuming Fat Sod will prove to be quite tough. But aside from that, this is not looking too bad.
Clean ones is legendary, but this one turns its appetite on its own. For that, Nurgle will have me put it down.
Okay, a little bit less grand. So it looks like a toad dragon is basically the thing that Tomarkon is riding.
Okay.
Let's have a look at our new unit here.
Oh,
Gross.
he's so cute. I thought. Okay.
Oh, he just puked up some swords. That's fun. So pretty decent speed, great melee attack, strong charge bonus, 25 bonus versus infantry. Really, really tears up infantry. He has his own unspeakable foulness, a missile attack that you can use to to not just hit enemies, but hit them with the suffocating debuff for 20 seconds, which dramatically increases their tiredness while reducing their melee attack and their reload skill, which is effectively their attack speed with their ranged weapons. Okay, so the three casters here, the plague ridden, are marked with victory symbols. So I guess that's the plan, is to get to those guys. We don't really need to plan this one out too much, I don't think. Like, let's go ahead and set our gunners up on the high side. We'll charge from there with the rot guys as well, the rot knights. Y'all can be over here, that's fine. Yeah, this for the moment, it looks to me like the start of this battle is just go forward. Ah, I see.
Yeah.
He's invulnerable until we clear his plague ridden.
Okay, well, that's a little more complicated.
That's interesting. Okay, yeah, so giant in. Once again, we're just gonna kind of run at them. I'm gonna turn guard mode off for this fight. It's different when you're like shooting at ranged units and you're afraid they're gonna break and run and lure you through the enemy lines or something. But with this whole army being like kind of bad melee units,
Yeah.
I think I feel comfortable having everybody in chase mode, honestly. And all of you guys just kind of... Wait, no, that's not the button for the thing I wanted. How do you... Here it is. Yeah, just kind of move up in the formations you're in. Let's fuck them up. There's a fair amount of magic in the reserve here, so I'm not gonna be shy about the spells. If there's one big mistake I made last time, it was underusing our magic. We can put these guys down real fast. Alright, they have left their plague-ridden relatively unguarded. We're just going to have right at them with our various rot knights. And you guys form up over here, just fire into flanks. Yeah, these two should... Wait, you and... Where's the soul grinder? Well, he's here in any case. Yeah, you guys are also just kind of form up in the flank beating position. These units of Nurglings will get broken really fast. And then we can have characters ride through on this stuff. Let's... Usually want to use the pendulum on a larger number of bodies than this, but this one unit is catching some penumbra. I'm also going to use our first summon. I'm going to try to break this immortality situation as quickly as possible. So these guys will grab hold of the Forsaken on this side to let our unit of Rot Knights ride in on the Plague guy. Alright, Fimdurak, your job is killing that dude. Okay, work's getting done over here. Okay, we're not ready for the big defensive spell yet. We can make our exalted hero a locus of fecundity and effectively get the fecundity spell this way. We didn't get to take advantage of that very much last time because he was off on his own for most of the battle, off chasing dudes. Okay.
Rules of decay. The Lord decide.
Beast. Our Forsaken fight their Forsaken.
Virulent warfare!
Okay, yeah, Forsaken, the units that they have guarding their,
Son of Nagel!
the units they have guarding their troops up there are not actually very tough. They do a lot of damage, but they're not very strong, and so they're having a heck of a time surviving in combat, even just against the Plague Bringers. Unfortunately, these dudes are taking forever to go down. Okay, this one's nearly dead. Then we can have the others move in for assistance.
We are the foul!
Alright, stop shooting for the moment, because you're not doing any damage. Let's get some assistance against the ones who aren't dying yet. That guy's 1 HP. There we go. They started closing in, they saw the Rot Knights, and they were like, oh wait, no, never mind. I don't want to be a part of this.
We love the sick, spreading
Alright.
destruction.
Heals up for the people, holding the invincible guy in place. And their remaining Forsaken is very low on health. Can I select him? Yeah. Okay, 818. Just need our units to actually finish him off. Okay. The burping enormity needs to be put down. Wait, where'd he go? Did we just... Huh. Without units on the ground, all these flying guys. So they had a bunch of flying dudes show up and immediately go into panic mode because they don't have any living units on the ground.
Yeah.
Any living non-surrendered units on the ground. That's probably not how that battle's supposed to work.
No.
They're probably supposed to show up before you've killed literally everything.
Yeah, probably. Okay. Well,
The reinforcement army just literally disintegrated. That wasn't okay. That wasn't that impressive.
no, well, I think it was a neat the thing where he was invulnerable until you took care. I mean, that's at least a different idea,
Yeah.
and that's something that you can do within a fantasy battle setting that you can't really do historically. So it's nice that they're leaning into that. But yeah, it was a little.
Yeah, we had that dude so drawn down on, so surrounded with guns and everything, that the moment we pierced his invulnerability, he just exploded. And then, yeah, that's...
Well, that's it for us today. Thank you for watching.
Let's see. Hold on. Let's see if anything else happens here. I don't know if there's going to be like extra, extra text or whatever. There may not be any additional rewards because, like the reward for completing the devotion battles is winning.
Yeah.
They don't really need to incentivize you any further, probably. The Toad Dragon was cool.
Yeah.
I like that thing where it burped up all those swords and helmets. That was fun.
You have a lot of cool toys, sweetie.
The high end units, especially for the more fantastical, less man with spear focused factions, are very neat.
Yeah, I can see why you like this game so much and why you've played it. How many episodes do you think there are of Total War Warhammer on your channel? 100?
That's a great. For sure, more than 100. The Skrulk episode, the Skrulk series alone was like 80, I think. Yeah, I guess that was it. So okay, the devotion battles are not quite as grand Or maybe it's just his isn't quite as grand because he is like the default guy that you get for free, kind of.
And you're still a ways away from the
We're
others.
super far away from the others. Yeah, we would need another 16 settlement loots or greenskin battles for Izar, and way more than that for everybody else. Yeah. We can, though, use this time, use the rest of the episode to just quickly show you the other one thing that I was going to show you.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and we'll just bounce out of here. But yeah, that's like a more sort of like demonic roster. Like, what do you think about what you've seen as far as roster diversity goes here? From like the Skaven gun units that we didn't really get to use to that like dwarf force.
There is an awful lot of diversity, and I think that's something where the fantasy thing helps.
Yeah.
And the way that the fantasy stuff takes from medieval and early modern periods.
For sure.
And so it's able to use the cool bits of each. Because if you're making a game based on a historical conflict, you're usually in a very limited geographical region. And so the number of different kinds of armies gets pretty limited. Like, you might have like Romans versus Greeks. Those are some pretty different armies, but you're not going to have them fighting, knights or whatnot. And so having this
to a certain extent, not to oversimplify beyond the point that I'm oversimplifying for, but to a certain extent, it's all just man with pointed stick.
Yeah. I think. I mean, honestly, a lot of the juice of, like, because I've done some ancient war games, for example, and some medieval games, and a lot of the juice comes from like formation stuff, like the Roman Manipular Legion, the checkerboard setup, versus the triplex aces. Like, that's some neat stuff, but it's not really cool for people who aren't nerds. It's like, well, look what kind of shapes we can put the men into. That's not as cool as I have an axe or I can throw a rock, So having the diversity really helps. I think they're really leaning into it, and it's makes for exciting stuff. What do we got going on here?
So I want to come back to that like formation stuff, because I do think that there's a lot to be talked about there. But for real quick, I just wanted to show you. Some of the factions in the game don't use cities at all and don't have the ability to conquer cities. And what they do is instead carry sort of like a city on the back of an army, which has a couple of interesting...
cool.
It creates a couple of interesting differences. Like, first of all, you never have that sort of like ability to fall back to the walls. You can't really build like a defensive structure that gives you an additional garrison because the army is... already the army, and it also means that it's possible to a large well-developed army is also carrying your technology buildings, and it creates the fear of like a lost battle is not just troop recruitment time, it's your infrastructure, right? You can lose your infrastructure even playing like on offense if things don't go well, if you stumble into an ambush. And so it does lend like army movement and battles an extra layer of sort of like tenseness.
Yeah.
That I think is pretty interesting. It does definitely feel way different from playing an army that has like a place you can just fall back to, a safe spot. So yeah, these guys, that's kind of their deal. You raise herd stones to establish blood grounds. Well, you erect a temporary structure on the map, and within a certain range of that structure, battles are more valuable for you. And so you parade around the herd stone and gather marks of ruination that you use to multiply and improve your units here. You can see when you hit various ruination levels, you can get improvements to your troops and cheaper building costs and improvements to your army capacity, because by default you just can't build very many armies with these forces, and you can see like you're working on your unit caps and stuff, because you can only get limited. At the beginning of the game, you only have sort of like tribal authority to hold in thrall so many powerful units, and you have to kind of prove yourself through this ruination and dread system to be a bad enough war goat that like a Jabberslythe would be willing to follow your orders, or that you could keep a couple different clans of Minotaurs in check so that they'll work for you at the same time.
Okay,
So
that's neat.
that's a whole different system. And there's even a couple different takes on like this idea of like no settlements, carry your tech with you. One of my favorite personal factions in the game is the Vampire Coast, which is like what if pirates were zombies?
I am prince and emperor.
Zombies, but not vampires.
Well, vampires, like the way vampire armies work is vampires are relatively valuable.
Okay.
There aren't a ton of vampires, so vampire armies are mostly made up of lesser undead. I didn't mean to hit that button.
Bring me to
So
my
if you look at like a vampire counts army, the default construction of this is like here's some elite combat skeletons, and here's some like zombie fodder, and here's some black knights, which are a different kind of trained undead. But this starting army only has one vampire in it, right?
Okay.
Vampires are the high class.
All right.
fear that I
When you said elite combat skeletons, like, okay, well, that's why she likes it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. But, like, these guys are cool. The Vampire Coast are cool because they have way more access to gunpowder than other armies do, but they just don't have infantry, basically. Like, they do literally have infantry. You can literally get a unit of zombie pirate deckhands, but these guys are deckhands. Look at their stats. 14 melee attack, 20 melee defense, with no armor, and 12,000 health sounds like a lot until you realize it's because there's 160 bodies. Each one of them has like 800 HP, and they just get absolutely mowed down by anything, absolutely anything. But you have tier 2 rifle units that have 120 rifles in them. And they have very poor accuracy because they're zombies wielding rifles. But, like,
Right.
at a certain point, you don't need accuracy. If you are projecting a dense enough wall of lead, it's going to hit everything that's in that direction. And so the way you play this force is, like, you bring these armies to battle that have 10 120-man rifle units, and then just, like, a smattering of guys whose job it is to get run over, but slow down the enemy a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that the rifles can get off like a second or third shot, and it feels very different. And eventually, you like level up to being able to run some depth guard, and depth guard are like they're kind of real infantry, but they're sort of like limited and elite, and you have to be careful with them because they don't actually survive all that well, and they don't have the melee defense for a troop of their tier, and they don't really have all that much armor, and it's a very interesting sort of like paper army. It feels like in a lot of ways. They've got these like big crab units. The crab units are cool, but the crabs only have 12 bodies to a unit. That's not enough to hold up a bunch of infantry or anything. People just run through them. And then they have, of course, your super fun like giant that is made of a pirate ship. An undead boat giant who has cannons for arms, and there's so much cool stuff in this game.
That's cool. Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing it with me. This is, this has been a real delight.
Even the most basic human, like the most basic human army, the Empire, like they've gone a long way out of their way to be like, here's a ton of different ways to play these guys, right? There's 15 different real infantry units, and all these different takes on ranged and cavalry, and there's all these like hero types, and yeah, they've really done something, I think, with this game in the state that it's in now. You know, like whatever, 11 years after they started working on this project. Yeah, Total War Warhammer 3 is just, it's a gem. It's wonderful stuff. So sorry. Anyway, I interrupted you.
Well, no, I was just saying thank you for sharing this with me, because it is a lot, and there's a lot of love in the game and a lot to love about the game, and I've really enjoyed. I think a lot of the viewers have really enjoyed watching you show this to me, and you know, I definitely would like to return to this at some point.
Yeah, I would
You
as
know,
well. I would as well.
so hey, people watching this, viewers, hello viewers. If you want to watch more Total War Warhammer 3 down the road, leave a comment.
Yeah, do let us know
engagement.
Because engagement, and also, you know, let us know what factions you'd like to see,
Yeah.
and stuff. Maybe Amabel will play next time.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Like and subscribe too. Do you know she has a Patreon?
All right, if we're doing calls to action, you listen. It's all the information's in the doobly-doo. You can. I'm not going to object if you want to give us some money. We do need that money for housing and food. So that's going to be it for us for today, though. I think we're going to go ahead and cut this one short. Thank you all so much for watching. Sorry that battle turned out to be somewhat an anticlimax, but also the way in which it was an anticlimax was pretty funny, I think.
It was. Yeah. No, that was excellent punchline. And I do think I know we're doing the outro. I'm sorry,
sure
you're probably
are.
already up on the screen, but
yeah.
but I do think the way the different factors in the game create this kind of texture where you can have that kind of funny anticlimax, I think that's neat. I think that shows a lot of breadth within the systems.
Yeah, I agree. I think the complexity allows for some really interesting outcomes sometimes. The one thing we didn't see, because we didn't actually stay in any of the campaigns long enough, but which will be a factor in basically any campaign, and I debated trying to push this campaign until we got there, and I decided it just wasn't worth it, is they have these like apocalypse scenarios that come up by default somewhere around turn 100, where the world gets sort of like taken over by a pressing existential threat that everyone has to deal with. And it often shakes up, sort of like, you know, at a certain point, the status quo starts to settle. People who have a lot of land are wiping out the people who have less land. And the apocalypse event can really shake that up, because obviously the people who have a lot of land are the people who are most affected by X bad things happening in each country, right? Like, and so it does do some interesting stuff, and it really shifts your focus, and it can put you in a really tight position sometimes, which, yeah, I like that system too. Total War Warhammer is good, is my hot take. Anyway, when you come back next time, Amabel still has classes to attend. We're moving on to something new, something I think we've been excited for a little while here, something that may not be in the best shape right now, but we're gonna find out. We're gonna get in there and find out together. So come back for that, and we'll see you then.
We'll see you then.